Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. Today is I always say this, all my videos I'm so excited to film, but this one is really important to me because it's going to be a video about my breastfeeding experience. I know this isn't the video for everyone, but I just thought it was very important to film something like this to share my experiences and maybe help ease the mind of other women that are preparing to start breastfeeding or thinking about the different options. This is going to be a collab video with my friend here on YouTube. She is, I love her. I love watching her videos. It's her channel is called Lish. I will link her channel down below. I'm really happy to do a collab with her. We thought it was important to do a collab on this particular video because I feel like it's important for women to see two totally different experiences because breastfeeding can go so many different ways, and the more informed you are about breastfeeding, the more you know, the more you research and do all that, when it comes time to actually doing it, you will be more successful in it. So I find that if you read other people's experiences, all from different sorts of spectrums, all different sorts of families, and you know, just different factors that contributed to the experience itself, it really helps you be able to figure out your own way of doing it. Does that make sense, you guys? I hope that makes sense. I don't even know the details of her story yet, so I'm going to be really excited to watch her video. And yeah, so like I said, I'll link it down below, and you guys, after watching this, head over to her channel and you guys can get the her whole experience with breastfeeding. Okay, so let's get started on my story, my breastfeeding story, my breastfeeding experience. Okay, so when I gave birth, I knew that right away I wanted to nurse her. I didn't want them to take her. I wanted to have skin-to-skin contact with her right away when she was born. I had asked for them not to cut her cord yet. I wanted to let the blood pulsate in her cord. And so even with the cord attached, they let me hold her right away, and they let me just kind of cuddle her up until she was able to reach, and they were able to cut the cord. So they cut the cord, and right away I put her to my breast. Now, my first pregnancy, I didn't do as much research as I should have. I know the whole time I was really mentally prepping. I think the whole time I wasn't even worried about labor. The whole pregnancy, what I was worried about, it was whether I was going to be a successful breastfeeder or not, whether she was going to have a good latch, or she was gonna take it easy. Even now, my second pregnancy, right now I'm 34 weeks, and I'm still, because every baby is different, I'm still a little nervous about whether this baby will be like my last. So so right away I put my breast to her mouth and kind of didn't force it, just gently like tickled her lips with it. And right away, I was so lucky and blessed at that moment that right away she latched on and she nursed within the 5 minutes that I gave birth. So that was really exciting for me. So she nursed for the first time, I think it was maybe like 5 to 10 minutes when they're first newborn. For my daughter, she nursed, her nursing sessions were between 10 to 15 minutes each. So she would nurse about every 2 hours. In the hospital itself, I didn't even know, I probably should have done more research. I didn't even know how often newborns needed to feed. So when I had my daughter, I really didn't realize that they could easily eat every hour if so needed. So I was really surprised when I heard that from my nurse. The first night she was crying, I'll be like, what's wrong? I just fed her. I literally didn't know that she could be hungry again. Their tummies are tiny, so they can only eat a little bit at a time. So anyways, the first night at the hospital was kind of like trial and error. So I hadn't, poor baby was probably starving, and I didn't know that I had to feed her that often. And the nurse came in and she told me, and I was like, oh my gosh, okay. So right away I started feeding her. Every time she cried, basically, I offered her my breast. So after I left the hospital, engorgement, with engorgement, if you guys don't know what that is, that's when your breast just basically your milk comes in, because the first stage is just a colostrum. It's just a very thick milk. It's a very first stage of your milk that you make, that your breasts make, and it's just a very thick, nutrition packed substance that the babies drink in the beginning. And so that's what that comes out at first. And so sometimes I know people don't get their actual milk in until a couple of days later, so they kind of freak out and they think that their baby isn't getting anything, but they are. It's just really thick, so it's not, when you squeeze, it's not going to squirt out like as if you had milk. So my milk came in, I believe the day that I left the hospital. I was at the hospital for like 2 days. So the third day, around the third day is when my milk came in. Hi, baby. What's up, baby? With my engorgement experience, my cup size got maybe 2 cups larger when it was going on. I never got the feeling of like painful, like super painful hard rocks. They did get hard, but they weren't like excruciatingly painful. Like I never felt the need to have to put, I know some women have to put like towels, like hot warm towels on them to relieve the soreness. So I never really got super painful, but they do get uncomfortable, definitely. For me, I'm very large. I have a very large cup size, so it was very frustrating for me because it's just uncomfortable to be so large. And it's probably the largest that I've ever been is when your milk first comes in, and for me, you're overproducing. So because your milk is just coming in, your body doesn't know how much it needs yet. In the beginning with my nipples, like irritation and chafing and all that, I did experience that. I mean, I believe every woman does. It is uncomfortable. It's just like any scrape that you would get on your hand and your knee. Like, it hurts, but it's doable. So many things that you feel that could easily like just push you into stopping. But I think the most important part is really wrapping your head around, this is what I'm doing. Like, I'm doing this no matter what. No matter what, you know, comes my way. I am trying to the very end. If there is an end, I am going to keep trying. I think that's the most important thing. I definitely look up to all the women that have had to struggle so much with it, because that's hard. It's important. I mean, you want to nourish your child. You want to be able to feed them. And when struggles come your way, and they definitely do for everyone, some have more than others. I have to say my overall experience with breastfeeding for me is good. And obviously she's around 20 months right now, and I'm still going at it, and I really don't have an age or anything where I see it stopping, and that's just what works for me and her and my family. You really have to get in the mindset. You have to. I feel like you shouldn't start off with well, if it works, it works. I think that can work sometimes, but I think that when you think that way, it's easier to stop. You know what I mean? So for me, I was always just like, I'm doing this, no matter what, I'm doing this. So the nipple chafing, I mean, it's something that happens with everyone. It doesn't last very long, so don't worry, ladies. Like, it's not gonna last forever. It's just your nipples getting used to, you know, a little baby sucking on them. I mean, it's not, they're not used to it constantly. Like I said, they can eat every hour. You know, it's, every baby's different. Some babies will eat every hour because of the way that they suckle. They just can't do it for long, so they get hungrier faster. So, I mean, you have to really look past that stuff. I mean, the typical stuff, you know, the chafing, the constant feedings, all the normal stuff. You really have to try to look past that, because it's not easy. It's hard. It's something hard. It's a change in life. You're not only changing the way that you look at your own body, you're changing your routine. You know, you have an infant to take care of now. It's just totally a different way of looking at everything. And I think breastfeeding sometimes comes as the one thing that is easy to stop doing and make it motherhood a little bit easier to just, you know, kind of stop and with the pain. And it's like, I went through so much pregnancy stuff, and like, I'm done. Like, that's how I think everyone has those feelings. It's like, what else do I have to go through? Like, haven't I had enough? Hasn't my body had enough? And everyone goes through that. That is so normal for people to start thinking that way. Everyone, I mean, I was thinking that way for a very long time. With the nipple chafing, just some advice to give you girls. For me, I knew that was going to happen. So before, when I was pregnant, I had ordered nipple cream from Mother Love. I did try using it. I actually used it for other things too, and I still use it today. It is certified organic. It says every purchase supports nurturinglifefoundation.org. This is a very well-known company for mothers that are going towards more organic breastfeeding, baby carrying, attachment parenting. Like, I call it like a hippie way of parenting. It's a softening salve for you to use on sore, cracked, nursing nipples. I would rub this on, and I was able to nurse her without having to wipe it off, which was nice. There are other ones out there like that you can just find at Target and stuff, but I was just super into being organic. It worked, but I mean, it's kind of like putting chapstick on your lips. My skin didn't soak it very fast. I had to wait, and that was kind of annoying. Like, you don't, like, once you're done breastfeeding, you really don't want your breasts out any more than they have to. I mean, they're already out so much of the day. You don't really want to wait to have to put them away, and for the nipple salve to, you know, get absorbed. So that was kind of annoying to me. At the very end of the cracked nipple situation, I started doing, instead, I just started spreading breast milk on him, and that worked so much better than this. So if you guys want to go out and buy this, I think this was $15. It was kind of pricey. I think it was like $15. I will link it down below. If you guys want to buy it, go ahead. I mean, you can use it for plenty of other things. I used to use it for chapstick. You can use it for cuticles. I mean, it's just basically a moisturizer. But what I mean worked way better, not lying, you guys. You hear people, breastfeeders, talk about how breast milk fixes everything. It does. I'm not lying, you guys. This all I would do is I would squeeze and express a little onto my fingers, spread it around my nipples, let it dry, and it would actually dry way faster than this would dry. Your body just absorbs it because it's natural and it's something that it's used to, so it absorbs it faster, and it would soothe them way more than something like this would. I bought these while I was pregnant. Are called Bamboobies because they are made with bamboo. With breast pads, I did buy some before, you know, when I was pregnant. I had some samples of some disposable ones. I'm more into using anything reusable, so I did end up, I had a sample of these. If you go on their website, they will actually send you a pair for free, I believe. I will link their company down below as well. And I had the sample and I felt them, and they're very soft. I would put them, they're so funny. I would put them in my bra, just, you know, when you're pregnant, you want to try everything. And so I would put them, and they're very comfortable. You don't see them through your bra. So, and I liked that they're very big because, like I said, I'm large. So these I used as breast pads, and they're washable and they are very well made. Like I said, they're made out of bamboo. So they really helped with leaky breasts. To be honest, I just am a forgetful person, so sometimes I would just forget to put them on and I would pay the price for it. But when I did put them on, they worked very well, and I didn't feel that I had been leaking. Like, you can't feel the wetness because it absorbs really well because it's bamboo. So they have two different kinds. They actually have, these are the regular kind, the heart ones. They're just regular absorbency, and then they also have the nighttime, because at night you tend to produce more milk when you're sleeping, and so the night ones have more layers to them. It feels like double layered, and this is only just, this is just one layer. So these are the heavy duty ones, and like I said, I think these worked really well for me when it came to leaky boobies. And I will link their website down below. And they're fairly affordable and they're reusable. So that's what I really liked about these. Yes, you do leak. You do leak, and it can be embarrassing sometimes. So I definitely recommend being prepared and having these on hand. Maybe even putting like a scarf in your diaper bag, so that if you forget to, you know, wear these one day, like I used to do it all the time, and at least you'll have a scarf to maybe cover up the wetness if it's showing through. Sometimes you don't, like, I wouldn't even notice, and then my husband would look at me and be like, babe, like your shirt is all wet. So it does happen. Something very important I wanted to talk to you guys about, that no one ever tells you, the doctors don't tell you, just don't see it talked about too much, even in the breastfeeding community. I just figured out that this was normal, and I am 20 months in when it comes to breastfeeding. So, like, it's just crazy that people don't talk about this. But I'm going to talk about nursing aversion. Nursing aversion is something that happens to some women, not all, but some women, that when they start breastfeeding, they get like this really like anxiety feeling. And this is what I felt. I would feel anxiety like insane. In the beginning, sometimes when she was nursing, I would get just like this feeling of just anxiety, and you just want to like squeeze. Anyone that's had anxiety just knows the feeling of just wanting to squeeze all the energy out. Like, you're just feeling all this balled up, just like, oh, like you can't get rid of it. And I would get that feeling when I was breastfeeding her a lot of the times in the beginning, and I thought it wasn't normal. Like, I was like, why am I feeling this way? This isn't the way that people describe, you know, breastfeeding to me. You're supposed to feel happy and make this connection. And I had the connection. I loved, you know, I loved her, and I loved that I was able to feed her. But I would also, behind that, get this really bad feeling of anxiety, and I just wanted the nursing session to be over. And no one talks about it. And I want to just tell you guys that that happens sometimes, and it's totally normal. It's your hormones. You get a rush of hormones when, you know, after you have a baby. Your body is out of sync. It's trying to get everything back to normal, and this is just a symptom of that. It's just a symptom of that. It's nothing to, it has nothing to do with you and your actual feelings for breastfeeding your child. And I think a lot of women get that feeling, and they feel like, okay, no, I'm not doing this, I'm done. And they feel like it's going to be like that the whole time, and it isn't. Or at least for me and a lot of other women that I've heard had the same thing happen to them. It usually ends after maybe a month or 2 or 3, which sounds like a long time, but it really isn't, of breastfeeding. And that is, it's something that you can get past. I would distract myself. I would I sometimes would get anxiety even without breastfeeding. I was already, you know, anxiety prone, so I was used to the not used to the feel. No one gets used to that feeling, but I knew the feeling. And So I kind of knew already what to do to help it subside. I would shake my legs, because for me it just feels like pent-up energy, and I don't like that feeling. So I shake my legs just to kind of get it out. I also just distract myself. I would talk to someone, I watch TV, and it sucks because you really want to just look down at your child and be like, oh, I'm feeding you. But sometimes you just, I would get that feeling sometimes, and I just couldn't. I would just have to distract myself on my phone, TV, like I said, talking to someone, anything to just get your mind off of the feeling that you're having. So that can happen, and when it happened, I didn't tell anyone that I got it. I think I told my husband that I would get anxiety, but I don't think he really knew how bad that I got it. And it makes you feel guilty. Like, you feel guilty because you should be feeling happy that you're feeding your child, and you're not feeling that way. So with mine, it didn't happen every session, but it did happen pretty often in the beginning. And it's not, people don't talk about it, and I think they don't talk about it because they don't want to maybe scare people off of breastfeeding. But I think if you talk about it and you become knowledgeable of it, I think that it's so much easier to work through. And like I said, I didn't know that this was a normal feeling. I didn't even know they had a name for it, nursing aversion, until maybe like 2 months ago. And I've been breastfeeding her for 20 months now. I just joined a group of tandem nursers, which means that you're breastfeeding more than one child, and that happens a lot with tandem nursers and also extended breastfeeding, because their latch and the way that they suck becomes totally different when they're older. So your body has to get used to it all over again, and that happened to me too. I got it again when I actually became pregnant because of the hormones. It has to do with hormones, and I got pregnant, and I started getting it again, and I still get it sometimes. It's weird. I'll only get it on one. I'll get it on my right breast. I don't like, and when I'm laying down, I can't, it's very hard for me to nurse her laying down on the right breast for some odd reason. It's the weirdest thing, but it happens. So I just want to make women aware that that is normal, and don't judge yourself on that feeling. I know a lot of people have issues that I didn't have, and I look up to them so much, because it's even just with the nursing aversion that I had, the feeling of like feeling guilty is something that really hurts the heart. So I think, like I said, just doing the research, looking at knowing everything that could happen wrong, just not being scared about that, but just being knowledgeable of it, and being knowledgeable of different things that you can do. Research it and find out, you know, look it up, Google it. We have the internet. We are so knowledgeable now, more knowledgeable than our parents ever were. My mom always tells me, you are so lucky you have all this info at your hands, and you use it, you know, for the good of your children, because we didn't have that. And I mean, they didn't know what was wrong or how to fix it, so they would just stop and, you know, switch to formula right away. And I don't think it's bad if you formula feed your baby. I just think people should really try and check off everything, you know, on the list, and make sure they know everything that could be affecting the way that they're nursing, so that you know that you did everything you could before switching to, you know, formula. That's just how I think of it. So like I said, there's just so many different things that could be affecting the way your baby is nursing. I had a goal with breastfeeding. The first goal, I think it's much better to have small goals rather than large goals. Like, my goal when I first started breastfeeding was not 2 years. It definitely was not 2 years. My goal was 6 months. 6 months came so fast, you guys, so fast. And everything was good. She was teething, but she never really bit. She bit a couple times, but all I would do was unlatch her, and I would tell her, no, baby, that hurts me. And she would get mad, but after doing that every time it happened, she kind of learned, like, oh, if I bite, she'll take it away for a little bit. So I mean, the biting, don't get scared of the biting. Don't even think about that. When it happens, and it's like, Oh, she bit me. So that's, with biting, don't even worry about that. But it came, 6 months came and went, and I kept going. Then my next goal was a year, and she was full on all breastfeeding. For me, my parenting choice was to do exclusively breastfeeding. I didn't feed her baby food. I would have her taste it after the recommended time, which is 6 months. I waited until 6 months to have her eat her first solid food, and but she was still, her meals would consist of breast milk. She was basically exclusively breastfeeding, but little tastes of foods here and there, but nothing like, she would not have like a whole meal of solids until she was a year old. And then a year happened, and I was like, oh my god, I'm at a year and I don't want to stop. I did not want to stop at a year. I did not want to stop. I was in love with breastfeeding by a year. And even 2 months, I remember 2 months before the year goal, which is 10 months, I was like, oh my god, I can't wait till this year's over. Like, I'm done. You just go up and down, up and down. But then I feel like when it finally gets to a year and you guys are both so used to your routine and you love the connection that you have with them and all that good stuff, you just don't want, I don't know, for me, I just didn't want to stop. Like, I really wanted to keep going. So I did. I kept going. But after a year, you know, it does get different because they start eating real meals. So, you know, she's starting to eat 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And the nursing gets less and less. And I feel like she was finally kind of weaning herself off. And that's what I just can't ever picture myself weaning her, because I'm just like a sap. Like, I just don't, I'm such a cuddly like mom where it's like, don't do crying out. I'm very, it's attachment parenting. Like, I love that style parenting, and it's worked for us, and she's such a good baby. So for like me, thinking about weaning just breaks my heart. Like, it breaks my heart. So I was always like, oh, I'll just let her wean off. And everyone would tell me, oh, when you get pregnant, she'll wean off. She won't like it no more. So she was finally, it was getting to where she was only nursing. She was only nursing for nap time and bedtime. That's it. And when we woke up in the morning. So 3 times a day. And I was good. I thought that was really good. And then I got pregnant. And then her dad left. And she got super clingy. And she just started nursing more all over again. And I didn't mind it. When I got pregnant, like I said, I did get nursing aversion again. Really bad. And I hated it. And I would even get like mad. And I would stop her session early because I couldn't take the feeling anymore, because it was way stronger when she was a toddler than when she was an infant, the nursing aversion feeling. But I kept going because I really didn't feel like doing that to her. I didn't feel like taking it away, especially when her dad was gone. And then all of a sudden, like, I'm pregnant and she's going to have a new baby. All these different changes, I just didn't want to do that to her. Like, I just felt like it was too much. Like, the one thing I wanted to be consistent was my breastfeeding her, because all these other changes were happening that were uncontrollable. Like, I couldn't control the fact that her dad was gone, and I couldn't control the fact that another baby was coming and I was going to have to split my attention. So that has a lot to do with the reason why I kept going with nursing. I actually ended up dry nursing. I dried up probably around 4 months. I dried up. My milk supply dried, and she still, and I thought, okay, I'm dry, like, she's not gonna want to nurse. She still nursed. She still wanted the comfort of it, and I didn't. It hurt like hell. It really hurt. It hurts like all over again, basically. I think it hurt more when I was pregnant, actually, than when I first started nursing her, like the newborn stages. It hurt, I believe it hurt way more when I was pregnant, but I still kept going. And then my colostrum came in, and I knew that it came in because one day she would nurse, and then she looked at me and she was like, So I knew something was coming out, and it wasn't milk, because I wasn't producing milk. Like, I mean, when I would squeeze, milk would not come out. So I knew it was colostrum. And that's what's going on right now. She likes the taste of it. Some kids don't like the taste and they end up just weaning off of that. But she likes the taste. So I am planning on tandem nursing, you guys, and I have about a month left and I'm very nervous about it. And I like the connection and the closeness and the moments that we have together with just her and me right now, before the baby comes. And I know everyone's probably going to be like, you're so naive, it's going to be so hard when the new baby's here. I know, and I'm not stupid. I know all the struggles that are coming when the baby gets here. Believe me, I know. Like I said, I do my research. I'm not someone that sits here twiddling their hair thinking everything's going to be perfect when the new baby's here. Oh, everything's going to work out. And I didn't do that with her throughout my whole breastfeeding either. I had people telling me, you better wean when she's 1. You better wean her. When are you going to wean her? There's going to be so many people telling you, just do formula. Why are you struggling with all this? Just do formula. And those people you really have to ignore. So I just don't, like, I don't know about you guys, but I just am not good at like comebacks and stuff like that. So for me, I would just ignore them, or I would just nod my head and be like, yeah, and then go home, and who cares what they think? And like, it's not their life. Who cares what they think of you? I'm constantly sharing things on Facebook so people know that I'm always on it. Find a breastfeeding community. Even while you're pregnant, if you're pregnant right now, I think it's so smart for pregnant women to find a group, a breastfeeders group. It could be local, it could be a huge one. I'm part of Breastfeeding Mama Talk. There are tons of huge Facebook pages, Instagram pages, online blogs that are breastfeeding awareness type blogs, and they're forums, and they're just moms asking questions and advice and stories and pictures of successful breastfeeding and so much of that. And I think it's so smart for you to just go and join as many of those groups as you can. I will link all the big ones, like international ones, on the bottom bar, so you guys can easily find them and join them. And I think that is the best resource for information. If you ever have an issue, like I'm constantly asking, what should I do when it comes to the newborn coming and the scheduling at night? And tons of women that have gone through the same exact thing that you have, that have the same stories or even different stories, they all have different opinions and different advice and all that, and they all come to you and they answer you and they basically come to your rescue, and you feel so much better knowing all these tips and tricks and successful stories and even some bad stories. It's just comforting to know it all. You know what I mean? So I think that is the smartest thing you can do, because without support, you cannot do this alone, you guys. Breastfeeding is something you really need support on. You need to go and find someone that has gone through it and that is sharing those experiences with you. It's truly one of my passions to make people feel comfortable about breastfeeding and just sharing the knowledge. Like, this is not a video to put down anyone that ends up doing formula. You're feeding your child. That's the most important thing. But I feel the need to also want to empower women that are choosing to breastfeed and telling them that, hey, way to go, high five, you're amazing for doing that for your kid. And I really hope that those of you that are pregnant watching this and that need a little encouragement, I really hope that this video did it for you. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I really hope that it helped someone out. Please leave me a comment down below. Let me know if you have any questions about breastfeeding. If you want to know anything else about my birth and labor, about my pregnancy now, anything at all. This is a very scary and exciting time for women, and I would love to be there to support and help you guys out with that. So I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Go check out Lish's video. I will link it down below. And yeah, I really hope this video was good, you guys. Alright, guys, I'm done rambling. Please like and subscribe and share this video. Bye!